A good Friday to one and all. What's the good word? Welcome, and welcome back to another episode of Sometimes the Old Man is Right. As always, I am your host, Lamont Ferguson, playing the role of the old man. Thanks for coming back. For the loyal and faithful 10 listeners that download each and every episode. Well. Episode 4. As far as episodic content goes, I am into Jar Jar Binks territory of episodes now. And hopefully this will not be as annoying. I hope you had a good week. I hope you are safe and well. My week, thanks for asking, was all right. It was interesting. Started off not on a high note. I play basketball every Sunday, full court with a group of guys that I've played with for about 10 years now. And this past Sunday, I was horrible. I was horrific. And it got me to a point where I wanted to write a letter of apology to the basketball gods for how bad my play was this past Sunday. And the reason has to do all physical. It has to do with that I'm not in basketball shape to be playing full court. I'm nowhere near it. Well, I am near it, but I'm not there yet because of the weight gain of lockdown and aging. Although I was only off for a little over a year or a year and a half, whatever it was, it shouldn't make that much of a difference. But I guess as you get older, it goes incrementally or exponentially. Is what the word I'm looking for. As to how bad the play becomes. Because there were times my mind would say, hey, do this. And my body's like, yeah, we're not doing that. I was a turnstile. I was a human turnstile. If I was guarding you and I could not guess correctly, which, by the way, is not how you play defense in basketball, guessing. If I could not guess correctly on which direction you were going to go, left or right, I guess left, you go right, you are easily going around me. It's not even close. Like I said, a human turnstile out there. So I will take a time off. I'm not going to go on Sunday. I can't stand that humiliation again. And it's not like the guys are like, hey, what are you doing? This is me. It's on me. I'm like, this is bad. What are you doing? This is horrible. So I will take Sunday off. I've been focusing on just fixing the diet, losing some weight to be able to get into shape to play not as poorly. That's really the goal, is to play not as poorly. There's a certain level of bad play that I expect out of myself at this age. And that this past Sunday was far below it. So after that, the week kind of balanced out, just became a regular week. Enjoyed my to and from school walks with Olivia. She disclosed something on one of the walks earlier this week of how she and another friend collect rocks during recess. Which my initial thought was, oh my God, my kid is one of those kids, the weird kids at recess that is collecting rocks. You're not playing games? You're collecting rocks? Oh, good grief. That was my initial thought. I've got the weird kid. But then I thought about me in elementary school, and I thought, you know what? I was kind of the weird kid too. I hung out with my two friends for pretty much all of elementary school, Robert Rodriguez and Mark Carter. And all we did every recess was just walk around. We walked around the playground and discussed, I don't know what we were discussing, life? But that's all we did. We never participated in a single game. And I was, athletic. I liked playing stuff, but that was my recess. My recess was, I got to walk around with my two friends, and we're going to solve all of the problems. So we probably would have looked better had we collected rocks, to tell you the truth. And that was the week. Didn't get notes ready for this episode. Put them down. We'll see what we got. First thing up is William Shatner going into space. Now, because I am friends with comics, every one of my social media timelines is usually filled with thoughts and jokes from comics. So when William Shatner went up into space, it was just filled with jokes about William Shatner going into space. And to all of them, I say, I see your William Shatner jokes, and I raise you 100 quatloos. That's a mic drop joke for Trekkies, is what that is. And I wouldn't even consider myself a Trekkie. I just am a person that grew up watching a lot of Star Trek, and I have a really good memory. But my real take on William Shatner is I am so impressed. How is he 90? That's the thing about it. I don't know how that dude is 90. He does not fit any box that you would associate with anyone being 90. 90. First of all, look, let's be real. He's fat. Okay? He's a fat 90. I challenge your memory and any of your experience to find a fat 90-year-old. Like, I don't think that happens. 90 is frail. Like, isn't Betty White 90? Betty White's over 90, right? Frail. That's what we associate with being 90 is a frail person. And William Shatner is not frail. He's a little paunchy. If I'll be polite, he's got a little of a paunch, is what William Shatner is. His voice isn't shaky. His voice sounds like William Shatner. Like, I don't know what the voice is. The voice is 60, maybe? And he's got all his, what seems to be all of his mental faculties. At the end, he was very overwhelmed and emotional and talking about the experience and being able to put it into words. I'm like, that dude, how is that dude 90? We need to be studying William Shatner, is what it is, because I don't understand how that dude is 90. His toupee is only 12, so anyway, kudos to William Shatner. That's what I say. I think it's an interesting time to be alive because we're sending regular people into space during a time where there's a large part of society that is also battling science. They seem to be on opposite ends of the spectrum is what's going on in the world right now. We got people telling you, I don't know about science. Science don't seem real to me. It seems to be politically driven. I don't know if you can trust any scientists. And yet, we're sending regular people up into space. We are creating astronauts, which by the definition letter of the definition of astronauts, technically William Shatner is an astronaut. And all the other people, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, they're all technically astronauts. Like, we are creating astronauts like Google has created experts. Because it seemed to me, astronaut used to mean something. It used to be something. There was a level of achievement, a level of eliteness. Those are special. Those are the best of the best astronauts. It required a minimum level of excellence is what it is. And that's not the case anymore. Now it's, hey, how much can you Venmo me 7 figures? Because I can make you an astronaut. NASA has requirements. National Aeronautics and Space Administration, they have requirements to be an astronaut listed on their website. One of them is possess a master's degree in a STEM field, including engineering, biological science, physical science, computer science, or mathematics. All of those things. I said science 3 times. 3 times in there was you needed to have a background in science to be an astronaut. But that's not the case anymore. What are some of the other thing was to have at least 2 years of related professional experience obtained after getting the degree. After getting a 4-year master's degree or 6-year, whatever the degree it is, it doesn't say the amount of time, but to have that degree and then 2 more years afterward, then NASA will say, now we'll take a look at you to make you be an astronaut. Plus going through the physical exam and the test of the being an astronaut. But not anymore. Everybody's an astronaut. Given away like Oprah. You get to be an astronaut. You get to be everyone gets to be an astronaut. And I say that the real culprit here is the English language. Let's be truthful. Words used to mean things. Not anymore. They don't mean anything. The English is dead. It's a dead language. I don't know how a kid fails English these days. If you got a kid that, you should fight that. If you have a kid that fails English or you're a kid that fails English, you need to fight that. Because I don't know how we're going to make rules on something that does not exist anymore. I've been saying for a while that the English degree has got to be the most worthless degree that we have. What are you going to do with that? The only thing you're doing with an English degree is pyramid scheme. For the most part, you're teaching other people English and then they can go teach other people English because that's the only thing that you're using that English degree for. Because you can't correct anybody with it. The English degree is the equivalent of majoring in Latin or tongues as far as I'm concerned. Words they used to have meanings. They don't now. Mainly due to one phrase. You know what I meant. That's the phrase. You know what I meant. You know what I'm trying to say. I don't know what you're trying to say. That's why we have words. But that phrase has made it so that English is not needed or necessary anymore. You can't even say anything because otherwise it's a shaming type of thing. Don't shame me. Don't whatever it is. Maybe grammar shaming is what it is. Because it is run rampant on social media. That's made it even worse. And I'll tell you the truth. I raise an eyebrow. There are people I've known all my life. And I'll see what they post. And they can't distinguish between to, T-O, but they're trying to say also, T-O-O. Just an extra O. Just hit the O a second time. You're already there. Your finger's already there. And they put that, I'll look at them and go, I got to judge you on that. Because I know that if I make a mistake and somebody says, oh, you put that and you meant this, and it becomes that I feel some shame. I get a little down on myself. I'm like, how did you make that mistake? What is wrong with you? You're better than that. And I'll go back and correct it, and I'll beat myself up for a few minutes because I can't believe that I made that mistake. But you don't do that anymore. That doesn't happen anymore, especially with like I said, the to and the to. The biggest one is your and the contraction your. That is the biggest one. Now, I see it all the time. Just you're all being stupid. Y-O-U-R. What? That's 4 words. You got 25% of that sentence incorrect. What are you doing? And it is tough. Look, people who speak a different language, they will tell you that English is one of the hardest languages to learn. And the reason why is because of the words that are similar, that sound the same, or words that some words have dual meaning. I say it's a list of the I got to be careful with this thing here. I'm talking English, but it's all for lack of better words, it's all the homos. Can I say that without getting canceled? The homonyms, the homophones, and the homographs. Now, this is a little new to me because as a kid that grew up in the 70s, we only had homonyms. That was it. They said, these are homonyms and they are words that sound the same but spelled differently. 2, 2, and 2, that type of thing. There's other examples, but for some reason, my mind went blank and I had nothing else. But that's the best. You don't need any other ones. That 2, 2, and 2. You understand what I'm saying. 2, 2, and 2. And they were all under the list of homonyms. And then as my kids started going to school, they come back and they go, oh no, these are homophones. And I'm like, I don't know what a homophone is. And then you got to look it up. This is why I say the English is so difficult, because the homonyms, the homophones, and the homographs are all very similar. There's just a slight nuance that's the difference between them. So a homograph is two words that are spelled the same but have different meanings and are sometimes pronounced differently, like so and sow. See, that spell the same, different pronunciations. Now, homophones, or the homonyms, sorry, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. The homonyms, which I learned as being 2, 2, and 2, which is not a homonym, by the way. We'll get to that in a second. The homonyms are words that are spelled or said the same, but have different meanings. Like the example is the baseball pitcher drank a pitcher of water. So those sound the same. They're the same word, but different meaning. So, and then the homophone, phone, derivative for sound, words that sound the same as other words, but have different meanings. Flower, 2, 2, and 2. You see, all that is extremely difficult. And that's why I said English is dead, because all these rules, people just went, you know what? I'm out. I'm not doing any of that. You know what I'm saying. You know what I mean. Which is exactly why the rules were put in, was to help communication, and now we've made it disintegrated. I started brushing up on my Spanish with a little Duolingo. Now, I took a lot of Spanish in school. I took 2 years in high school, 2 years in college, and I remember very little. But it's all still there. It is all accessible. It's all there. And so I'm brushing up on it. And Spanish is straightforward. Spanish is actually a pretty easy language to navigate through, because it is what it is. Masculine, all right, throw the L in front of it. Feminine, gotcha, throw the la in front of it. And whomever you were talking about, that's how it works. So Spanish, pretty straightforward. I don't even know if that phrase was right. I just like throwing in the fancy word, whomever. But like I said, the English doesn't mean anything anymore. There's too many things and too many words that just make you sound dumb. I'm fighting the battle with it. You try to adjust as things go along. You got the non-binary people who now have changed their pronouns, so they would like to be referred to in a way that doesn't necessarily make English sense, at least the way that we were taught. That's my beef on it. I don't really care what people do with their lives. Do whatever it is that makes you happy. But I get a little annoyed on the fact that I've got to now sound like a slave from the 1700s because my conjugation and the times don't match up. When I'm referring to a single person and I say they is over there, like, who is they? Them. I don't know, sir, but I say theys is over there. You see what I'm saying? But it's all the words. It's a lot of words. I'll even give this to the N-word. Now, that's not necessarily part of what proper English and conjugation would be, but as far as the words having meaning, they don't. I play basketball in the park by myself on weekdays. It's just drills. I'm just doing drills. I'm doing mechanics and drills and getting shots up and just doing that. And there are a bunch of kids that hang out next to the basketball court before school because I go early in the morning. Now, there's a high school next to the park. The basketball hoops are in the park. These kids are in the park. They're in the park before going to attend the high school that is across the street. And I hear the N-word on a regular basis. Now, here's the thing about it. I live in a Latino neighborhood. Nothing but Latino people. And me. So when I'm listening to the kids that are out there talking and saying, oh, nigga, this is that. Yeah, I'm telling you, you got to stop tripping, nigga. And I look up and realize that, oh, the Latino nigga is talking to the other Latino nigga. And I am the only black person in the area. That's when I realize, oh, what have we done? What has gone on? And I understand rappers have done this. This is what rappers did. And I know it's a generational thing. I'm old. I'm from a generation where that word triggers me, or at least perks. It doesn't trigger me. I don't go crazy, but it does perk my ears because it makes me go, what is about to happen? Maybe something needs to be done as far as I need to leave this area, or am I going to have to fight my way out of this area? And now it's a time where I look and go, oh no, it's just kids who aren't black talking to other kids who aren't black. And I think I don't know, is that mission accomplished? Because the young rappers said, hey, we're trying to take back the meaning of the word. We're making it a different word. And I guess, all right, you did it. You made it mean friend or buddy. For everyone. Well, everyone except for white people. That's where the odd thing that takes place is that when a white person uses it, they go, hey, can I sing a song that has those words in it? And they go, oh, no, you can't do that. I'm like, how is that the line to draw? Like where, and I'm not any Candace Owens on this thing. I'm just saying the hypocrisy of it is, how are you drawing the line there? Because I'm seeing every other minority use the word. And is that acceptable? I'd like to sit some of the young generation down and ask them, is that acceptable? Like you're saying the white people can't use it, but what about the Mexican people who I personally see, not, oh, I heard a story about, no. I see this on a regular basis. I can stop this podcast and go, well, no, they're out of school now. But had I gone earlier, I can go there right then and record them all saying it. And they just mean that. And it's not just the Latino people, because also on this basketball court, every so often, some Filipino people will show up and they're playing basketball. And I once heard, oh, nigga, you got to give me the ball. Nah, nigga, I'm not showing you the ball. Nigga, you crazy. I'm like, wait a minute. The Filipino nigga told the Mexican nigga that both them niggas are crazy. And the black person is out there, me, going, what the fuck is going on? You know, on that day where I heard the kids go, I hear it all the time. But on this particular day, which was about 2 days ago, afterwards, I went to the store. Then I stopped at a Burger King. There was an old white lady, homeless lady, in the parking lot of Burger King, just yelling. I don't know if she was yelling at a person because I didn't see anyone around. She was yelling at her bag of food. I don't know. I don't know what she was yelling at, but she got angry and she's like, ah, you dumb motherfucking nigger. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. So now the bag is a nigga? Is the bag a nigga? Like, so it means buddy and it means bad. Like, see, this is the problem. Words, they're all over the place. I used to joke about it. Because the NAACP, I don't know, about 15 years ago, when this was a topic, the N-word, the NAACP came out and they said, we're having a mock symbolic funeral for the N-word. They even had a casket, had the N-word on it. And then they went and said, we are burying the N-word. That was like 15 years ago. And when I see what's taking place now, I'm like, did you bury it in Nigga Pet Cemetery? Because that word is back with a vengeance and it's different now. The other thing that piqued my interest was Demi Lovato. who people are still listening to for some reason. I don't even know, not still listening to. It's the fact that they're listening to her. Like whatever she says, people run and go, well, this is what Demi Lovato said today. She is a non-binary person. I'm sorry, I've already messed that up. I said she. It's they. They are a non-binary person. My apologies. But this week, she went away from that. She went up to saying in an interview, she believes that beings from another planet are not coming to harm humans. They don't mean to harm humans. I don't know how she has this information. I don't know what research on Google that she has done. Google Saturn or wherever, where we know there's no people on Saturn, but in another galaxy that she has done the research to become an expert. But she says that she doesn't believe that beings from another planet mean to harm humans. So we're good on that because we got the word. But the other thing is that she wants people to stop calling them aliens because aliens is a derogatory term. And that's why she likes to call them ETs. Who them? Who is them, Demi? No, she's Demi. The other one is Demi Moore, Demi Lovato. And look, that's a homograph. Who? She's speaking for them now? She likes to call them ETs. Okay. I don't know who them are. Are they here? Was this the revelation that she's saying that she knows for a fact that they are here? Who is they? Is they them? Is she they? I don't. You know who got brought into this? Neil deGrasse Tyson got brought into this. Neil deGrasse Tyson had to comment on this. Neil is a scientist, by the way. That's how they always describe him. Scientist Neil deGrasse Tyson. A scientist, which means he has amassed information. You know the weird thing about being a scientist is all that information is out there. It's all out there for all of us. Hell, we could all be scientists. We all have that. This is not a Moses situation. Neil didn't go up to a mountain with a burning bush and then God or the bush gave him the information. No, it's all out there. This is all information that is out there that you can all have access to. We all readily have access to. So Neil had to talk about this. TMZ caught him maybe at an airport. And by the way, this is unfounded, okay? I'll say that to cover myself. But I get a lot of my information from TMZ. Like when something happens, I immediately will go to TMZ to see whether or not it actually happened. Because I don't know how they do it. Actually, I have a theory. They were the first to know that Michael Jackson had died. I mean, hours before any other news outlet had known that Michael Jackson was dead. They had published Michael Jackson's dead. And Prince the same way. And I believe, like I said, this is my own theory. And can I have a theory? I mean, seriously. Demi Lovato said, be nicer to ETs. Can I have a theory? I believe TMZ is killing people. I believe TMZ is behind all of the crimes because there's no way they could have this 100% accuracy that they do without being the ones that are committing the crimes. They know everything ahead of time, ahead of anyone else, TMZ, and I've never seen a retraction from TMZ where they had to correct, oh, by the way, we said this and we were wrong. No, they are always right. And the only way I can feel that they've always been right is that they are the ones committing these crimes. So look into Harvey Levin. He's a lawyer. He may be up to something. I'm just saying. He may be up to something. So TMZ caught Neil deGrasse Tyson and they asked him, hey, what do you think about the comments of Demi Lovato? Which, imagine, you have access to all this knowledge and this is what you have to comment on. Hey, someone said something that we should be nicer to aliens and we shouldn't call them aliens. Hey, you guy with knowledge, what do you think of that? So he had to say that he doesn't believe that the aliens have feelings like that. And who are we to be in the head of aliens, which is a good point. But Demi Lovato said it with such confidence. I think they may be in the alien head. And he said he refers to them as space aliens. So therefore not to be confused and be ostracized. All I know is that the oddest thing for me about this is that Britney Spears has got to be hearing this and thinking, how am I the one with the conservatorship? Like, you're worried about me doing crazy stuff? How is free reign Demi Lovato running around and I have a conservatorship? If anybody needs a conservatorship, Demi Lovato needs a conservatorship. But we're trying to keep Britney from, I don't even know what Britney's doing. By the way, yeah, I'm on the free Britney thing too. This is nonsense. Demi Lovato's out here talking this nonsense. Britney's all locked up. Speaking of conservatorship, Kyrie Irving was in the news this week. The vaccine thing, the mandate, that's still going on. I really thought that the end of the world would happen in a much swifter pace than this. We're fighting over this, the vaccine mandate. Kyrie doesn't want to get vaccinated because he was told to, which seems to be the case, is a lot of people are like, I don't like that you told me to. And I'm like, all right, can we skip to the end? Can we just skip to the end of this nonsense? Kyrie is a different cat, man. I've said this many times. He is a different cat. Kyrie also at one point said that he thought the world was flat. So you see, that dude needs to be up in space. Delay the front part of the NBA season so we can send Kyrie up in space so he can make the declaration after saying that the earth was flat, that, hey, I went up in space and I saw that it wasn't flat. But his thing is that he wants to be the voice for the voiceless, which is interesting to me because that is the most vocal, voiceless group I've ever seen. The anti-vax people are the most vocal, voiceless, finger air quotes, group I have ever seen. The other thing about this, which is sad and puzzling to me, is that both sides are just anxious to see whether they're right so they can tell the other side, I told you so. That's what all this boils down to. Everyone just wants to be right so they could say, I told you so. Look, I am vaccinated. I think I already went over this about the double vaccinated thing. That's not a thing. But I'm vaccinated, and I will still listen to people that make sense as to why they choose not to get the vaccine. If they make sense. I don't want to hear nonsense. I don't want to hear the masks. I'm breathing my own CO2. I don't want to hear it's a hoax. I don't want to hear Dr. Fauci is really Dr. Evil. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear Bill Gates is trying to do everything to control I don't want to hear any of that. If you got legitimate concerns, I will listen. A friend of mine who is vaccinated, but also claims to be anti-vax. And I heard his complaint and I was like, okay, that's legitimate. Because he got the Moderna vaccine, which is also the one that I received. And he had an adverse reaction to the second shot, that he was tired and pain and some weird things that went on. And so I listen. I listen to him because he is someone that went through it, had something happen, and so now he's anti-vax. But it is a thing about your point of view, because he's saying it's anti-vax and this is absolutely horrible and stuff like that. But I'm like, you're basing this on your experience of going through it, because I'm also a person that had the exact same medication and vaccination as you did, and I had nothing happen to me. So you're basing it on your experience that something bad happened to you, so therefore it must be stopped. And I'm saying nothing happened to me, so I don't see. See, you understand, it all is based on where you're coming from. But I'm all for discourse. I'm all for talking about it and seeing what needs to be done. Joe Rogan recently this week had Dr. Sanjay Gupta on, and they had a 3-hour discussion. 3-hour discussion about it. And they both handled it well, and they went away. No one's mind was changed, but there was a better understanding. And I'm for that. I'm all for a better understanding. Although when I saw that it was on, I saw that in Twitter he was trending on Twitter. And that, again, this is the problem with words. The main headline of everything was, Joe Rogan destroys Dr. Gupta. Destroys. Every headline. Destroy. And these are all fans of Joe Rogan that were tweeting such things, or people on that side of the issue. He destroyed him. And I'm like, destroyed? I don't know if I've ever seen, like, what happened to Dr. Sanjay Gupta? He got destroyed by Joe Rogan? Was it like a Thanos finger snap? What happened? Destroyed? That's a very harsh word, destroyed. So I go and look, it is a 3-hour interview. And destroyed to them was one clip. They kept showing the one clip. It was the same clip. It was 2 minutes long, of Joe Rogan asking him over and over again, why did your network lie saying I was taking horse dewormer? And he just kept asking it over and over again. And Sanjay was trying to answer, but he really wasn't answering. And that was destroyed. I looked at that clip and I'm like, you are right. That is annihilation. Is what that is. You're being too kind with the word destroyed. That's an annihilation of another human being. Or apparently destroyed means, hey, he asked a question and the guy didn't answer in a way that we accept. So therefore, that person was destroyed in a 2-minute clip of a 180-minute interview. What I think we need is I don't know if I talked about this before. I've talked about it on other things. There's a movie that is underrated called The Best of Enemies. It stars Taraji P. Henson and Sam Rockwell. It's based on a true story about 1971 of, I think it's in North Carolina, of a civil rights battle. Taraji P. Henson plays the role of Ann Atwater, and Sam Rockwell plays J.P. Ellis. J.P. Ellis was a former Ku Klux Klan, I don't know I want to say Grand Poobah, but I'm pretty sure that's from the Flintstones. Whatever the head is, the president of the Ku Klux Klan in North Carolina. And Ann Atwater was a black woman. And the story details how they bridged this gap, which, I mean, really, could there be a bigger gap of a black person and the head of the KKK? To where they ended up becoming lifelong friends. And it's a really good movie. Best of Enemies, wherever you can find it. But the way that they tried to fix this problem, because there was a housing inequity amongst black people in this town that Ann Atwater was trying to represent and tell the people, but an all-white judge panel kept dismissing the case and kept saying, no, this is not a thing. Meanwhile, it was a thing. And they had a charrette, And the charrette, it was some way where they sat down. They had to sit down people from opposing viewpoints. And Anne had to sit down across from this KKK leader. And they had to come up with decisions that would best fit the community. And it was a battle and tough, but it was an exercise that the entire town had to go through. This lengthy type of charrette where they sit down and discuss this and have to come to a decision. Like all that hate you leave that hate outside because we're trying to come to a decision where you bring your viewpoints and that type of deal. And I think we need that. I think we need that for this vaccine. I think we need that for racial things in this country. We need a charrette, which is not to be confused with a charade, which I don't believe is a homonym or a homophone or a homograph at all. Anyway, that is it. That's all I've got. I got no more. I have other topics. I'll talk about them next week. I thank you again for tuning in, downloading, whatever it is you do, spending a little time with me here on episode 4. I wish you a great week, a safe and healthy week. Try not to be a turnstile out on the basketball court, if I can wish you that. Don't be a turnstile in life. How's that? Is that good advice for you? New episodes weekly, every Friday. Weekly, that's another one of those homma things because it sounds the same, but that's a homophone. Boy, we are learning a lot today. But they are weekly with double E's every Friday. You can also email the show at theoldmanisright@gmail.com. I believe that is the web address, theoldmanisright@gmail.com. Check out anything you need as far as lamontferguson.com. I will be appearing next weekend at the Ventura Harbor Comedy Club, October 22nd and 23rd. One show each night at 8 p.m. Tickets available at the aforementioned lamontferguson.com. Look at me dropping words like aforementioned. They don't even mean anything anymore. As always, I've got a lot of thoughts. I've got a lot of nonsense. I got a lot of comments that could be as wacky as Demi Lovato. But sometimes the old man is right. I'll see you next week.